If we expect anything new within our lives, we have to stop telling that old story. And when I say that old story, I'm talking about that old story of struggle, that disempowering story that we're so used to telling ourselves and others that we see it as normal. Now, I understand that we live in a culture, in a society, in a world that is so addicted to sharing its struggles. We are so enthusiastic about sharing all the bad things that are going on, what's not working within our lives. And when I say enthusiastic, I mean this because as soon as you get on the phone to call somebody or somebody gets on the phone to call you, they're not calling you to tell you about all the brand new ideas, the concepts they want to bring into life, the things that are manifesting in their lives. They're calling you to let you know that there's a new struggle, that there's a new thing that happened to them that is holding them back and keeping them from living that fulfilled, prosperous life. Like, it's time for us. And when I say us, I do mean us. I mean me included. I am a part of this equation. I have been as guilty of this as anybody. It is time for us to stop telling the story of struggle. And I know that sounds crazy, and I know it might even sound delusional. Like, why on earth would I stop telling something that's quote unquote real? Right? We're so in love with this concept of what is reality, not realizing that the reality we live in right now is nothing more than our beliefs and where they have taken us. It's nothing more than the thoughts that we've held on to until they became beliefs, and those beliefs became our manifested life, and the life we're now living we call a reality. And so instead of telling a new story to create a new reality, instead of changing and shifting and transforming those thoughts into something more empowering, we stay in the same place. We stay in the confines of what we know, in the confines of what we call reality, of what others have called reality. And we share those stories over and over, not realizing that each time we're sharing that story, we are reinforcing that story. Each time we're telling somebody about our struggles and how hard things are and how things never work out, we're speaking that into existence. It is time for us to tell a new story. I am in a place where I am absolutely done. I have come to the end of myself. Truly. I woke up this morning from a dream that I could say was quite clear in its message. I knew exactly what the dream meant, but it was such an uncomfortable dream that I had. And yet I knew it was coming to me because it was a message to me. It was saying to me, you have been holding on to your old self for so long. It's time for you to let that old self die. Otherwise, that old self will kill you. And I know that sounds wild. I know that sounds, to anybody who's thinking just in the physical term of things, they're thinking to themselves, wow, that sounds like he got something going on mentally. Like, this dude's got something wrong with him. But maybe I do, maybe I don't. But what I do know is the truth is that if I don't get rid of that old identity will consume me. And I had to make a decision for myself. I've been given the chance and the opportunity time and time again to change who I am, to shift who I am into who I truly am. Not to change into somebody else or try to be somebody else, but to shed that old skin, to shed those ideas, those concepts that have held me back for too long, to shed the old stories that I was holding on to, hoping that they would serve me in some way, the justifications that I was holding on to as far as why I am in the place that I am, the stories that I shared, hoping that I could relate to people. There's a certain type of camaraderie that comes with struggle. There's a certain type of camaraderie that comes with going through pain that we are so addicted to that we believe we need it in order to resonate with somebody else, in order for somebody to understand us, And if you have this calling within you to, let's say, be a teacher and to share your experiences, there's also a part of you that says, man, I want to share the joys of where life can take you. Like, I want to share, how to cultivate peace within yourself and happiness and joy and fulfillment and manifest the best things in life. But there's also another side that says, but what if people don't relate to me? Like, what if people don't get me? Now, maybe this is just me. Maybe I'm projecting, but I realized that the excuse that I was making, the reason why I continued to hold on to that old story that was keeping me locked, the story of bondage, the story that was keeping me in the old pattern of thought and the old pattern of feeling and the old pattern of action, I was holding on to it with the excuse, and I will call it an excuse because that's exactly what it is, and I'm not going to lie to myself. I had the excuse that I'm holding on to this because the people around me need me to share something that is relatable, when in truth, it was coming from a place where I wanted to be liked. I wanted people to think that I understood them so they could see me as somebody who cares, instead of just being a person who cares and speaking my truth. And if people resonate, they resonate. If they don't, they don't. I was using that as my excuse, and so many other excuses, of course, but I started to realize that if I hold on to that, right? If I spend my entire life holding on to that struggle story just so I can relate to other people, just so I can, come to the table and share a story that people will cry over and, feel empathy towards and feel sympathy towards, if I continue to tell that story for those reasons, only I am going to suffer. Like, the people around me might be, they might be compelled. It might help them, probably won't. But me, as far as my own life, I will move nowhere. I will get nowhere. I will stay in the same cycles because all I am obsessed with is connecting to people based on what was, based on the things that did not serve me, based on the things that did not uplift me, did not empower me into taking those steps in my God-given life path and my God-given identity, the fruition of who I could truly be. And so, if you're somebody out there and you find yourself in a space where you are just you're telling a story that doesn't align with the things that you say that you desire. For example, if you say that you're finally going to, live out your purpose and you're going to make millions of dollars living your purpose, right? You want financial freedom and financial abundance coming through your gift, which is an intention that I've set for myself. Yet you're telling a story of, all the times that it didn't work out and all the times you tried to pursue your gift, but it just didn't pan out, or you're in groups or you're, talking to friends and you're trying to relate to them. So you tell them of how hard it is, to pursue your passion in this world and how hard it is to make money. Like, you're telling old money stories about, how hard it is to get money, how hard it is, to make a living nowadays, and how hard it is in the repression or the depression or whatever we may call the economy at that point in time. Like, we are so obsessed with telling this story that is in direct opposition to the things that we say we want in our lives. And when are we going to come to a point where we finally say, you know what, I'm willing to be a weirdo. Like, I'm willing to stand outside of the crowd and have people look at me as strange and have people look at me as whatever they deem me as. You could be somebody whose entire heart and intention is to help people, and they'll see you as selfish. You can have an entire intention to want to give to people, and they can see you as greedy just because you're living in financial prosperity, or just because you're living in your actual life purpose, just because you're doing things that you love. They'll see you as selfish, as not caring about doing real work. They'll call you lazy because you're not spending time doing things that they think you should be doing. Like, people are always going to have an opinion about you, and if you allow that opinion to keep you in bondage of that old story, only you will suffer. If you allow the other crabs to pull you back in the barrel, only you will suffer. And it is only you who can make a choice to get yourself outside of the environment of being so easily manipulated or manipulatable, being so easily brought back into that old paradigm simply because you want people to like you or to perceive you in a certain type of way. And I know there's somebody watching this thinking to themselves, I don't care about being liked. It might not be about being liked for you. Maybe for you, it's simply about your addiction to that old story. Maybe you are so in love with telling that old story. Then there's something within you that is not willing to let go of that, not willing to let go of what was in order to claim what is, like in order to claim what is coming towards you, what is trying to come to you. I promise you this. There is nothing difficult, about bringing the things you desire into life for a universal force. Like, think about this. You're talking about the very same presence that has all of life working at the exact same time, simultaneously, continuously. That is the all, the source, the one. This is the God that we know and that we could never truly fathom. It is nothing for that source to bring you $1,000,000. Nothing. And there is nothing lost in you having that $1,000,000. So let's get that excuse out the way. You're not taking anything from anybody when you have more in your life, when you are more expansive in your life. However, we continue to hold ourselves apart from the things that we claim to desire simply because we are obsessed with that old story. We're obsessed with the story of when it didn't work. We're obsessed with the story of what happened and who did what and what may not happen because last time it didn't happen. When are we finally going to cut ties completely with that old story that's connected to that old identity that is completely and absolutely has been outgrown? Like, if I'm talking to you right now, it probably means that you outgrew that old version of yourself, the angry, frustrated, that one. Like, you outgrew that version of yourself a long time ago. And you are sitting in this place of limbo when you know what you want and you know that there's greater things for you in life and you know there's more to be experienced, but you continue to hold on to that story. And I am saying this in repetition on purpose. Like, I truly need this point to come across, is that it has nothing to do with anything external. It has everything to do with you and what you are telling yourself. It is you and the thoughts that you are continuing to entertain, you and the emotions that you're continuing to conjure and focus upon. It is all up to us. Every single ounce of it has always been in our hands because it's already been done. God's already delivered all things. All things already been placed within you. You don't need to get down and beg for something and ask for something and plead for something. The asking has already been done. It is simply for you to receive. And the only way you can receive is to truly believe. And belief is an action. It is an activity. That's they say faith without works is dead, right? So in order for you to truly be in a space and a place of belief, living in that or being in that life, being one with that thing that you have conceptualized in your mind and your heart, is you have to align with it. And the only way you can align with it is telling the story of it. You will sound crazy to the people who don't understand spiritual matters. You will sound crazy to the person who thinks to themselves, well, look at your reality. How can you tell yourself that you are rich and you are wealthy? How can you tell yourself that you are stepping and walking in abundance when you ain't got $1 to your name? How can you say that you're living out your dream and your gift and you're doing all these things when you're working at the job at the UPS right next to me? You're working in the office right next to me. You just got fired from Google just like me. How can you tell me that you are stepping in your abundance when you don't know where your next paycheck is going to come from? That's what you're going to face. That's what you're going to be up against. And you have to be okay with being the individual who is weird, who nobody understands, the individual who stands out and is seen as crazy, the one who stands out and is seen as unrealistic, the one who stands out and is seen as a dreamer and a hoper. You have to be willing to truly embody that, because it's not about them. I'm telling you right now, it's not about them. It seems like it's about them. It seems like their opinion matters because you're emotionally invested in their opinion. But once you emotionally detach yourself from their opinions of what you should be doing with your life, and you completely invest yourself within that spirit that was given unto you, that one that is limitless, once you tap into that place, buddy, you won't care what anybody has to say because you're so compelled by your vision. You will run absolutely by that thing within you. And you know without a shadow of a doubt that you're going to step from victory to victory, glory to glory, while everybody around you, sometimes you may have a survivor's guilt, right? You may feel that you want others to prosper too. You feel bad for having something that somebody else doesn't. But the best thing you can do for that person is to be an example, to be a living example for that person, right? And for me, that's my entire aspiration, to walk in my absolute fulfillment, to walk in my abundance, to walk in what I say, to walk in what I claim continuously in greater and greater versions, higher and higher. You're seeing me at the very beginning of my journey, and you're going to look back and say to yourself, I saw this happening. I saw this coming to fruition. He said it and it happened. And you're absolutely right. I said it and it happened because it's already been set into motion. I just stopped caring about you thinking I'm crazy for declaring these things. And when I stopped attaching myself to whether or not you like me, or whether or not you see me as sane, or whether or not I'm correct in my ideology, whatever it is, I stepped in my truth. I continue to walk in that truth. And I pray, I declare, I claim that you're going to do the exact same for yourself. Because this year, 2023, moving forward, I don't care what year you find yourself in, it's all going to be the same unless you change. It's all going to be the same unless you change that story. And for me, I made the decision. I'm done. I'm done. I'm absolutely finished, complete and utterly finished with that old story. If you ask me, man, how and what happened to you, I will share what I grew through. I will share how I grew through situations, but I'm not going to linger on, man, things were so hard, no, because that's not the energy I'm in. I'm not walking in that spirit. No, not at all. You want to know about the struggle? I'm not the person for you. You want to know about what's going on in politics and how bad? I'm not the person for you. Don't come to me. Please don't come to me if you want to talk about things that are going on externally out there. And you may think I'm selfish, I'm this, I'm that, I'm not tapped in, or I'm not conscious, or socially conscious and socially aware. That's okay. That's perfectly fine. You can see me as none of those things, or you can see me as all of those things. I do not mind. It is okay. All I know is there is something within me that I have to follow, something within me that I have to walk in alignment with. That's it. Point blank, period. And if it ain't come from that, then it has nothing to do with me, and I'm okay with that. This is a milestone, keystone video for me, because this is an actual moment in time right here. This is a timestamp. You can see the date, you can see the time when I made a declaration to myself forever. And there are times I've spoken on things. There are times that I've said things that may have been in that moment, and that seed was planted for later. But this is a message that is for right now and for the rest of my existence. And I hope it's the same. I truly, I know for a fact there's going to be somebody who's watching this right now at an exact time where that change is going to happen instantaneously. You're going to get this message. It makes complete sense. It is in alignment with where you are and who you are becoming. And enough was enough. You're already at a place where enough was enough. You were sick and tired of being sick and tired. You were done with that old story. You're done with the old story of being broke. You're done with the old story of not having enough. You're done with the old story of not walking in your fullness. You're done with the old story of broken relationship after broken relationship. You're done with that story. You have packed your bags and you have left that station. You've packed your bags. You've hopped on that flight and you are off. You are off to your destiny. You are off to the fullness of what God has always had for you, period. And if anybody has anything to say about it, you can't hear it because it's white noise. You can't hear it because when you're in a plane, can you hear the activities that are going on the ground? Absolutely not, my friend. Absolutely not.